Welcome to another Gateways for Seniors program. Today, a care plan for my mother, and our guest, Sharon Stevens, Director of Gateways for Seniors in Nashua, New Hampshire. In the workforce today, women are more likely to be caregivers than men. However, this is changing. 34% of mothers receive care from their children. 12% goes to fathers and 9% from spouses. In order to remain sane and to remain in the workforce, it's ideal to put together an in-home care plan that will free up as much of your work time as possible. In-home personal care support providers can help with non-medical issues. Sharon, I would like to keep my mother living at home for as long as possible. What are the available resources?
You know, a question and story that I hear constantly from people is, I wish my sister could take care of my mom for just one day so she could understand what I have to go through. And that's so true. Unless you're a caregiver, you don't understand how much work it takes to get through one day. I have heard
that one more than once.
So let's talk a little bit about how to give that poor sister some relief. You know, depending on the care that's needed, you could arrange for a nurse, a physician, a therapist, and possibly even doctors, because there are some, that could go to your parents' home. That would relieve some of the back and forth that goes on when you take people to hospital settings. And these people generally provide skilled medical service. And if she doesn't need the nursing care, just monitoring her blood pressure or glucose levels, she could get
like a home health aide, something like that?
I lost my train of thought. A home health aide, exactly, because home health aides are LNAs, so they are trained to do vitals and blood glucose and manage some medications and give some advice. So the home health aides are trained and have passed competency tests, so when you get one, they're good and they know what they're doing. So that can relieve a lot of the caregiver burnout. I want to just allude to another story. In my experience, women take this caregiving role to the nth degree. They are practically crawling in here on their hands and knees when they need help. However, when men have to give their mother a bath, all of a sudden the phone rings and says, I need somebody right away. So it's always interesting to see the difference between male and female caregivers.
And I imagine just even, the basic things such as checking a patient's pulse, their temp, administering meds, changing dressings.
Exactly. The people that have diabetes have open wounds and that sort of thing. And if you're not used to it, it could be pretty scary. So these home health aides and OTs, PTs, doctors, all that sort of thing that can come to your home can make life really easy for the person that's working, or easier, I can't say easy, but it also gives them peace of mind.
And they are supervised, right, by a nurse or someone else?
Yes, the home health aides are supervised by a nurse, and the nurse can come in and do the evaluation and work with the doctor and tell the home health aide exactly what they need to do to get optimal results from their work.
And that's really something that makes a caregiver, a family member feel better, knowing that someone who knows what they're doing is keeping an eye on their loved one, and if there are any issues, being able to report that back to someone who needs to know, and perhaps the caregiver might not pick up on it otherwise.
That's so true. The training really helps a lot.
Well, let's talk about day services. Adult day services is a topic that, we hear about a lot. We see advertising for different kinds of programs. What kinds of activities and services are offered there?
Adult day services are really wonderful. They were designed to meet adults with cognitive or functional impairments, as well as people needing just social interventions. So they're usually run the same kind of a day that a work day is in. You can either have your loved one picked up or you can drop them off at the day center. They have nurses there. Some day centers are centered on Alzheimer's, so they have activities for Alzheimer's. Some give baths, some don't, but all of them have nurses, all of them have meals. All of them have activities. So while your loved one is there, they can participate in a whole lot of things. And I've been to Gateways daycare at Alvern High School, and it is a hoot. They have so much fun there. I go in and I just am part of the party that's going on.
Well, and I think another thing that is important here is to know that there are quality adult daycare services that you're not just parking mom and dad for the day while you go to work, that they're really doing their best to make this a good experience and also to take excellent care of the person so that you have some peace of mind.
It's so true. And as I said, when you go in there, they have all these events. They're dancing, they're playing music, there could be bingo going on, there's board games, there's just all kinds of things. That's important to somebody that might be sitting home alone. So the choices of sitting home alone and watching TV and maybe interacting with other people could be real important to both the caregiver and the person that's being cared for.
What about the situation where mom wants to stay at home, which is great, and for the most part, she's doing pretty good, but she either can't cook or just for safety reasons really shouldn't be doing that. What kind of services can help me there?
There are some services that are regular, like Meals on Wheels, which
Sure.
are done at most senior centers and delivered to your home. There's also congregate meals at the senior center and that sort of thing if someone has transportation there. And if that doesn't work, of course, we have the in-home care personal care service provider that can prepare meals. Not only can they prepare the meal for today, but they can also put things in the freezer so they can be taken out and microwaved, or they can make casseroles that can just be heated up, or they can arrange any kinds of meals that the person needs. So if they're not a big eater and they need meals in little small packages, that can be done. If they're one that just wants to scoop something out of a casserole, that can be done. If they want to throw something in the microwave, that can be done.
Great. I think kind of a overwhelming theme here, though, too, is that we talk about adult daycare centers. We've mentioned the fact that medications and medical appointments and everything. So one of the most common questions that I've heard is transportation. I have to be at work. There's doctor's appointments. I'd love to get my loved one to an adult center, community center for meals, but I can't really leave work and drive home and do all these things and still keep a job. What about transportation options?
There aren't, in the rural areas, there aren't many transportation options. You can drive, hail a taxi cab. There are caregiver organizations that have volunteer drivers, and you might be able to arrange someone that can do that for you. If you want exact help, for instance, if your mother had dementia or Alzheimer's, you could get one of our personal care service providers to pick them up, take them to the senior center, and stay with them so that nothing happens or they don't get lost or confused while they do their activities, and then bring them home. For medical appointments or any kinds of appointments, just taking your mom out for ice cream, because we've had that request, getting their hair done, whatever, we can provide the transportation for them.
Well, Sharon, that brings us to the end of our program. I want to thank you, as always, for joining us. I think there is a lot of value in realizing that not only can we manage as caregiving workers to keep our jobs, which of course is incredibly important, but that we can balance that with knowing there are options so that we can assure that our parents and loved ones are well taken care of while we're at work during the day or whatever we may need, and in the hands of folks who will keep a good eye on them and give us the feedback we need to make sure that we're doing the right things for them.
That's so true, and the bond is important too. We have some people that call our personal care service providers friends. My friends are coming to see me. That's the kind of thing we love to hear.
And that's the way it should be. Sharon, thanks so much once again. This has been another Gateways for Seniors program.